Today I'm comparing this 2026 Ford Ranger Lariat with this 2026 Ford Maverick Lariat. So let's jump into it and see which one is better. Also, if you're new here, my name is Jason and I do reviews and comparisons like this here in Canada. So in today's video with both the Ranger and the Maverick, I will be covering the different models available, the safety features, the engine and towing specs, the exterior, the interior, the infotainment system, and the pricing. And I'm also going to throw up the window sticker for both of the trucks here because they do have some options added to it, so you will notice that throughout the video. Let's jump right into it and start off with the models available with both of these trucks. So starting with the Ranger, you do get 4 models to pick from, and this does include a Raptor, which is pretty cool. So I think there's definitely something for everyone, whether it's a base model or a performance off-road ready truck. Now for the Maverick, you do have an extra model available, so I think this definitely helps when it comes to really picking the perfect truck for you or your family. The great thing about the Maverick models is that each has its own personality, whereas the Ranger, they're all very similar looking, other than of course the Raptor. Alright, let's move to the safety features that come standard with both trucks. Now both come with the Ford Co-Pilot 360 technology, but if you look at the standard features with the Maverick, it does have the Co-Pilot 360 Assist 2, which overall does give the Maverick an edge in total safety features. However, if you're someone who is more of a towing tech feature person, then the Ranger has the Maverick beat on that. So you can think of it like this: if you're a serious tower, then the Ranger is perfect for you, but if you really don't care that much for the towing, then the Maverick is the perfect for lighter stuff. Now let's move to the engine and towing specs for both of these trucks. This will all come down to what you want out of the truck. So if you prefer having more power and torque, then the Ranger is your go-to. Plus the Ranger can tow more as well, thanks to its body on frame construction. Now if you need something that is fuel efficient for daily use and just gets the job done, then the Maverick is for you. But keep in mind, like I mentioned, the Maverick does tow less than the Ranger. And also for both of the trucks, you do have 2 different engine options available, which is good. And I also like how the Ranger has the selectable drive modes and the proper 4x4 system, giving it a much more serious off-road capability. Alright, let's start off in the front, and I'm going to start off with the Ranger. So as you can see with the Ranger, it looks so much beefier and bulky, and up here you do have the LED fog lights and the front recovery hooks. Now the grille area on this is pretty unique, especially the center bar that stretches across, and if you look closely you do have a front facing camera up here, which is a part of the 360 camera setup. Also, if you look closely at the Ford badge up here and on the rear, you do have this nice surrounding color. As for the LED lights up here, you do have the nice looking LED DRLs that are pretty similar to the Maverick. I mean, overall the Ranger gives you that off-road ready look and just a mean look overall. Now let's take a look at the Maverick, and this has more of that modern sleek designing. Now with these, you don't have the front fog lights or the front recovery hooks, but I am digging the grille design and the LED lights up here. And I think the Maverick just has this very clean look to it and more of that street style look going on. And this one does have the hood decal, so it definitely adds a nice touch to the front end. Also, thank you to Mayfield Ford for allowing me to review these 2 trucks. Now coming to the side of the trucks, with the Ranger, you can see it does sit slightly higher and has side steps as well, whereas the Maverick sits pretty low. Now as for the wheel setup on the Ranger Lariat, since this has the black appearance package, you do get these 18-inch black wheels with the beefier tires. And also, the Ranger does have a slightly bigger bed, as you can see. As for the Maverick, I do like the lower stance on this, and since the bed on this is a little bit smaller, you do get to maneuver this truck easily around town and in tight spots. And this Maverick also has the black appearance package, so you do get these cool looking 19-inch blacked out wheels. Also, what I think adds to the look on the Maverick with the black appearance is that you do get a black painted roof to match the rest of the black accents. Alright, let's swing to the rear on on the Ranger here and take a look at what it has to offer. And right away, you can see it has a more rugged looking rear end on this, just the way that the rear bumper is designed. Now, both trucks do have the names stamped into the tailgate. And speaking of tailgate, with the Ranger, it's a dampened tailgate, so it's not just gonna slam down on you. And opening this up, here is what the bed size looks like inside. And something very small is if you look on the tailgate, you also have this measurement area. Plus, you do have a rear power sliding window. Now, moving to the Maverick, you do get more of this boxier look back here, but still, it's not bad looking. And a similar looking tailgate as well. Plus, you do get a light by the tailgate handle and a key lock. Now, the Maverick tailgate does slam down if you're not careful. And opening up the tailgate, this is what the bed size looks like with the Maverick. Also back here, you do have this hidden compartment area on the side. And just like the Ranger, you also have the rear power sliding window. Now, let's move inside of these trucks and let's start with the Ranger. You do have an all black interior with bits and pieces that do stand out, like this gray trimming here by the door handle area and this soft touch material with the cool looking designing. Now, as for these seats back here, I really like what they've done with the designing. Like in the middle sections here, it definitely stands out compared to the Maverick. And also, if you do pull down this centerpiece here, you do have your cup holders. And if you go ahead and lift up the rear seats, you do have a good amount of space, but it's nothing like the Maverick. Now, as for the legroom and the headroom, it's really what you would expect in a truck this size. Now, up front, you do have this nice looking trimming on the driver and the passenger doors, and I think this just adds a nice little touch. Plus, you do have the driver memory seating. And speaking of seating, again, look at how nice these seats look, and these are also pretty comfortable. And these seats do come heated, plus you do have the power adjustable controls, and that's even for the passenger side. And as for the steering wheel, this does come manual adjustable. Now let's check out the Maverick, and this is a night and day difference between the two trucks because you get this blue and gray interior, which personally, I think that there is just a ton of blue in this, but I do like how the storage area is designed, and it can fit taller bottles. Plus, you do have the unique door handle area and this 3D look on the panel here. As for the seats, these are just your plain soft touch, unlike the Ranger's unique middle portion. And pulling down the middle section here, it's the same. You have the cup holders here. Now, here is a huge difference. When you go ahead and lift up the rear seats, this is where the Maverick shines. Look at how much space you have back here, and I think you can just fit an endless amount of things. Now, let's check out the legroom and the headroom for this because it's pretty much the same as the Ranger. But as for the headroom, I love how this thing is open up here where the roofline is because you can just move around comfortably. And now heading up front, there are no memory seating for the driver's seat. And as for the front seats, I do like how the Maverick is stamped into the back, and the front seats do come heated plus power adjustable, but just not the passenger seat. And the steering wheel is just like the Ranger, it's manual adjustable. Now let's jump inside of the Ranger and take a look because I really like what they've done with this, as it's very similar to the F-150s. And what I mean by that is the full digital cluster area. And on this, obviously you can view a load of information for the Ranger. And as for the steering wheel, this does come heated, and then you just have your usual controls on here. Now moving to the armrest area, you do get this soft touch material, and inside you do have decent space plus a 12-volt socket, where in the Maverick you don't have one. Now over on the console here, this is pretty standard stuff. Plus in this you do have the 2 high, 4 low, and all of that, and you have an actual shifter, unlike the Maverick where it's a rotary dial type. But this I feel takes up a bit more space and is in your way, unlike the Maverick one. And if you look on the dashboard on the passenger side, you do have 2 separate sections of storage space, which I think would be useful. Now this last thing is probably something very small, but in the Ranger, you do have a spot to put your sunglasses up top. Now let's enter inside of the Maverick, and on the dashboard here, behind the touchscreen, you do have this little area of space. But as for the cluster area, it's not fully digital like the Ranger, but you do have a half screen here. And on here, you can still see a ton of info about the vehicle, and the steering wheel also comes heated. Plus, you've got the usual controls on here as well. Now moving to the armrest area, you do have, again, the soft touch similar to the Ranger, and opening this up, you do have okay space in here, but no outlets or anything like in the Ranger. Now on the center console, I think this sits pretty low for my liking, but I do like the rotary shifter because this opens up a ton of space without the shifter being in your way. And over on the dash here, you don't have storage sections like the Ranger, and And also, you don't have a spot for your sunglasses up top. Okay, now let's talk about the infotainment system and the touchscreens on both of the trucks here. So starting with the Ranger, I love the tablet-like style, but it is slightly smaller than the Maverick's 13.2-inch screen. But on here, you have the usual things, plus very similar to the F-150s, you do have the zone lighting, and I think the screen setup is just a personal preference. Some people may not even like the vertical screen, they prefer having the Maverick screen. And as for the camera system for both trucks, they have pretty much the same stuff, and I love that you can see so many different angles. Now on the Maverick touchscreen here, like I mentioned, it is slightly bigger, and this also has YouTube built in if you do care for that stuff. And then everything else is pretty much the same in terms of the settings, the stuff that you can see on here, and all of that good stuff. All right, finally, let's talk pricing for both of these trucks. The Ranger is priced higher at around $58,200 Canadian, whereas depending on the engine you pick on the Maverick, this will be priced between $47,600 and $49,600 Canadian. Even the highest trim with the Maverick does not cross the Ranger Lariat pricing. And I do like how Ford does offer both trucks, as one is more for someone who wants that raw look and feel and better towing capabilities, whereas the Maverick is that nice looking street truck that's easier to maneuver in tight spots while being fuel efficient. At the end of the day, each truck serves a purpose, and it honestly has its own kind of people that will be drawn towards it and will like what each of these trucks have to offer. In my opinion, I don't know, I would have to say that the exterior styling I love on the Maverick, but the interior styling I do like on the Ranger. So I'm kind of torn in between both of the trucks, the exterior and the interior, but I mean, again, I don't really do any of that heavy towing or go off-roading or anything, so I think I would just probably stick with the Maverick just because of the looks and how cool it is. Well, that does it for the comparison with this 2026 Ford Ranger Lariat and this 2026 Ford Maverick Lariat. Let me know in the comments down below, which one would you prefer?